Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Okay.
President Trump lighting it up a little bit yesterday for the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer. He hasn't ethnically become Palestinian, but he has become pro-jihad. What more do you need? Pause now. Got to go like that. Let's dance. Put on your red shoes and self-immolate. Boy, the Democrat Party, they prove every day what I've been saying for so many years now. They are not on our side. They're not even close to being on our side. They're on the side of the jihad, the Mexican drug cartels, on the side of Venezuelan gangs, on the side of criminals and crime. They defund the police and want to disband ICE like AOC, Immigration Customs Enforcement, open borders. They are the Davos globalists. And what do the Davos globalists want? They want slaves. They want really cheap to free labor. It's probably less expensive for them now. They don't have to provide housing or food or anything like that. And they certainly don't provide education anywhere. The Democrat Party, not on our side. They are on the side of Mahmoud Khalil, who is a jihadi and a genocidal, Jew-hating psychopath who looks forward to being drenched in the blood of innocents. He's a supporter of the tunnel system under Gaza, which we really funded because we're stupid. The West is stupid, and we're committing suicide overwhelmingly because of the left. Overwhelmingly, not 100%, but overwhelmingly because of the left. And yesterday in New York, there was a court hearing for their boy, the latest jihadi that they love, Mahmoud Khalil, who had a hearing yesterday, and they're screaming and yelling, "Oh, you're depriving him of his constitutional rights." He, as far as I'm concerned, he's an illegal alien. Aren't you an illegal alien if you lied on your application for a student visa about your support for jihadi organizations? If you lied on your green card application about your support for jihad organizations and for the jihad itself, because they ask you about that. And if you lie on your application, kind of like I'm reminded of Hunter Biden lying on his gun application, which the Democrats are fine with. They're incredibly corrupt. They are the glassy-eyed zombie apocalypse. Remarkable stuff. But yesterday, more mobs in the streets. And again, President Trump, fun headline from the radical extremists at Mediaite. He's not Jewish anymore. Trump escalates attack on Chuck Schumer being Palestinian by taking away his religion. He didn't take away his religion. Chuck Schumer set his religion and his ethnic history on fire because that's what they do. And then they had this idiot actress, Susan Saran Wrap. She showed up and waited in line in the courthouse. At the courthouse yesterday, she wanted to be first in line to get into the courtroom so she could witness and support the jihad and Mahmoud Khalil, because they're not on the side of Western civilization. Mahmoud Khalil is a leader of an organization that calls every day for the total destruction of Western civilization. And the Democrats invite that. They welcome that because they're the party of global civil war. Once there are no borders and no countries, then one giant global war can be a civil war, right? Rather than isolated national wars and all that good stuff. But remarkable things going on. And then we've got this Democrat who's a mayoral candidate in New York and already elected to the state house as a Democrat in the state of New York and Albany. And this guy, he is just out of his mind. He's a danger to civilization. Zohran Mamdani is the Democrat in question in this case. And Zohran, he is not one of the good guys, But the Democrats, they're quite wacky. They really are. They are nuts. But let's get to some audio because the jihadis yesterday, they were out in the streets of New York at the courthouse. I've got a report because it's true that none of them self-immolated yesterday. One Democrat did self-immolate and commit suicide, kill himself outside of the courthouse when Donald Trump was on trial for a non-disclosure agreement, which every single network has entered into again and again. Wonderful stuff. I've got a great National Panhandler radio story today, too. It has to do with NPR LGBTQ. I think those go together well, don't they? And we're funding the propaganda network of the Democrat Party, most elaborate propaganda network in the history of the world. I also talked to you yesterday about Rahm Emanuel, my old high school classmate and Obama administration official. And what was he, a Clinton administration? And he was, yeah, sure. They just stay in government, and they all become very, very wealthy, multimillionaires in government and then out of government. Very corrupt people. Remarkable stuff. But Rahm Emanuel, talking yesterday, I shared with you about running for president of the United States. And now he's being mocked and ridiculed, which is kind of fun. But we've got that going for us. Now, yesterday in New York, the Democrats were out in the streets in force, being violent, attacking the police, doing what they always do. They're a violent criminal enterprise. They should be banned under the RICO statutes or something like that. But the mob was out there because they love Khalil. Why do they love Khalil? He's not on our side, is he? He's a Muslim and a genocidal Jew hater, racist. That makes him a racist, genocidal racist. Like the Nazis and the Democrats, they're right there with him. Mahmoud Khalil has not been allowed to speak privately with lawyers, is the headline of the New York Times. And I'll bet that that's not even true. Al Jazeera. Judge extends ban on deportation of Mahmoud Khalil from U.S. That's an Obama appointee who is a self-loathing Jew himself, like Chuck Schumer. And he naturally went to Harvard undergrad and to law school at Yale, which makes him one of the glassy-eyed zombie army. Court orders anti-Israel Colombia activists facing deportation to remain in detention. Good. I think we should probably throw him in Sing Sing, see if he wants to sing after a little time in there. And what is next for pro-Palestinian protester and Columbia grad, like I give a hoot, NBC News headline, where he came to get a useless, worse than useless, master's degree from Columbia University, where Barack Obama went. We should see what's in the water there, because they're all members of the glassy-eyed zombie apocalypse. Remarkable stuff. And this Obama judge is corrupting everything because that's what they do. Now let's go to soundbite number one, numero uno, as the Democrats like to say. And they're in New York, where they're very much in favor of jihad and jihadis, and they hate the police. They're violently attacking and assaulting the police. And the news media shrugs. They don't care. It's January 6th every day when the Democrats show up dressed like terrorists, dressed like, honestly, I like the movie Lawrence of Arabia, and they're dressed like the Arab army that attacks the Turkish troop train in Lawrence of Arabia, the Democrat Party. And these are a bunch of white, suburban, candy-ass, Ivy League school. They all had tutors in high school so they could get into this awful brainwashing indoctrination institution called Columbia University, where Barack Obama went. And the jihadis in the streets of New York, hundreds and hundreds of them last night.
The real terrorists are in the White House, and we're standing outside of the courthouse to demand the immediate release of Mahmoud Khalil.
Demand. They always demand. They never request. They never insist. They always demand. And they use these women who would be thrown off of rooftops in the Gaza, but never mind that. And most of them are probably LGBTQ, aren't they? I think all of them are LGBTQ. There are no, is there an abbreviation for just being straight? That S? You can be LGBTQ or you can be S. I think those are your choices. And then they've got this, the Palestinian Liberal Students for Palestinian Liberation, the radical left-wing groups, and they're out there. And again, they wrap their heads in Arab headdresses, and they adore the people that would kill them in tunnels because they've been raised by the left, and the left is a suicidal death cult. We should really I don't want to encourage this, but I'm kind of surprised they haven't had a giant Jonestown event, like the Reverend Jim Jones out of the Bay Area going to Guyana in South America, and more than 900 of them committed suicide or murdered one another because their socialist utopia wasn't working out as well as hoped. So more than 900 of them, almost all black, by the way, committed suicide and or were poisoned by the Democrats. But here are the loons in the streets of New York.
Release Mahmoud right now! Release Mahmoud right now! We want justice, you say how! We want justice, you say how! Eyes off our campus now! Eyes off our campus now!
Now, I pointed this out during the Occupy Wall Street, that they were training the future generations of glassy-eyed, zombie, apocalyptic, death cult, suicidal army that we call the Democrat Party. And they all dress like jihadis and go into the streets of New York, and they cheer for jihad and jihadis and for genocide. And this is the mainstream of the Democrat Party. It's not like, it's been getting freakier and freakier. But I pointed out during the Occupy Wall Street that they were training them by the thousands with these radical left-wing, like Francis Fox Piven college professors, training the next generation of glassy-eyed. And there have been so many suicide attacks and self-immolations since then, murderous suicide attacks against police and Republicans. And they're make no mistake, they're unambiguous suicide. They're not suicide by police. They're murderous suicide attacks. And that's what they are. And during Occupy Wall Street, they were training them up. And also they've taken everything that Monty Python used to mock and made it reality.
You're all individuals.
Yes, we're all individuals.
You're all different.
Yes, we are all different.
And then they attack the police and they self-immolate and they shoot members of Congress on baseball fields and they shoot presidential candidates through the ear, and they have to be gunned down because the suicidal death cult, the murderous suicidal death cult, that is the Democrat Party. Back to New York City yesterday, which was not all Monty Python. One of Mahmoud Khalil's lawyers, whose name is Bahar Azmi, Bahar Azmi. And Azmi, I think we can treat that now, can't we? I think we've got a spray bottle for that.
We will be fighting in the courts and fighting in the streets to bring Mahmoud home and prevent this level of repression from spreading.
Yeah, home is Algeria. So is Algeria? I think he's that's where he came from, is Algeria. So yeah, let's send him home. That's what we're trying to do, trying to deport his jihadi ass out of the country, out of the United States of America, because he lied on his applications for a student visa and for a green card. And he's here to spread jihad, and it's working because the Democratic Party is pro-jihad, and they're and again, this guy represents an organization that is focused on the death of Western civilization itself. Start with the state of Israel and the Jews, what the Iranian regime under the Ayatollahs wants, and it's what the Democrat Party is fighting for and pushing for. And if you're an American Jew, honestly, it's time for a brain scan or a bucket of gasoline and a Zippo lighter, because there is something very unwell about you. You're not functioning properly. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived on the scene, and it builds on the incredible success of the two previous generations of Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifiers. Thousands of five-star reviews online, became a great bestseller. And the new Thunderstorm uses two different technologies that studies have proven help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air that you breathe. Also removes dust and pet stuff and smoke and a whole lot more, because you like to breathe clean, fresh air. No filters to have to buy and replace over and over again like a lot of these air filters. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. The Thunderstorm will get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Litter boxes, smelly shoes, left-wing protesters, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, when you buy the Thunderstorm, you buy one, you get one free. No matter how many you buy, you get an equal number for free. So you can put one upstairs, downstairs, in the teenager's room, make one a gift, bring one to the office. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code ChrisBogo. That's buy one, get one, ChrisBogo, to buy one, get one. And you buy five, you get five for free. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ChrisBogo. Yes, sir. Yeah, all right, more on the crazy, mental, jihadi Democrats. This is what they call liberalism. I've been saying for years, they're not liberals, they're the left. And they keep proving me right.
No prisoners! No prisoners!
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Before I get to your calls, I got to do another couple of crazy things. The CNN is very excited to announce that Senate Dems have enough votes to block GOP spending bill. Now, CNN's headline doesn't say Democrats to shut down government in 48 hours on Friday. Well, actually, it's sooner than that, isn't it? They're going to shut it down tomorrow, but I think it's by midnight tomorrow. And so Schumer is planning on shutting down the government. CNN is supporting him because they're not a news organization. They're a gang of shaved tongue Democrats posing as journalists. The Democrats, they've got a guy in New York who is elected. He's a state assemblyman in New York. His name is Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani is a Muslim. He's pro-terrorist. He is in favor of letting the terrorist Mahmoud loose on the streets again because they want a jihad here in the U.S.
How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers without charge? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
He's attacking Tom Homan in the State House in Albany, New York. He's a Democrat elected to the State House from Brooklyn, and he sounds like a violent criminal. I wonder if he could be deported, too. Tom Homan was having none of it. I've got him coming up for you, and that's don't mess with the Zohran over there. So Zohran Mamdani, he's an Indian-American Muslim who is not on the side of Western civilization, and he's an elected Democrat in the state of New York. He's running for mayor of New York, too.
The cowardice that is on display across our city and our state is unacceptable. New Yorkers are looking to us. They are looking to their leaders for courage and for conviction.
And
what
ammo.
they are finding instead is collaboration. And that is just simply unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Yeah, sure. It's the supporters of Mahmoud Khalil, who is a genocidal Jew hater, and that was Zohran Mamdani again, who is an American of Indian descent, that is from India, not like Elizabeth Warren, you know. And he's a jihadi, and he's running for mayor of New York, and he's already been elected by Democrats in Brooklyn to be their state representative in the state of New York, because the Democrat Party is the party of the plantation and the Civil War, and they're not on our side. All right, let's. I've got more audio I want to share with you. The crazy people, and they are criminally insane. Let's. And they love the jihad, and they love the bad guys that I'm talking about. They're not on our side, not by a long shot. and Mahmoud Khalil is their latest hero. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Paul, calling from District Heights, Maryland. Paulo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
I support Mr. Khalil's release immediately, and I support the students who are rising up against Israeli Zionism. It's a plague on the world, Israeli Zionism, and I want it abolished. Netanyahu belongs in jail, and that's basically all I want to say.
Well, that's a lot. You've said a lot. And why do you want to see Zionism eradicated from the face of the earth?
Because it violates the rights of the Palestinian people. If they've been committing a genocide for the last year and a half against Gaza, and they've been oppressing, they're destroying all their homes in the West Bank, and they murdered Rachel Corrie back in the early 2000s, and the veteran Aaron Bushmail was so moved by the plight of the people of Gaza that he took his own life. He set himself on fire. I wouldn't do that. I would have not advise anybody to do that, what he did, but he was so moved by the plight of the people of Gaza that he wanted to do something dramatic. So his blood and Rachel Corrie's blood are on the hands of the radical Zionists, and especially people like Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben Gvir, those fascist dogs.
Fascist dogs. All right, now you sound like you're probably ethnically like German-Irish.
My mother was English.
Okay, all right.
I'm a Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And I voted for Trump because of the abortion issue and also same-sex marriage. I'm opposed to those things. But I support the Palestinian people's right to resist and by any means necessary. Now,
I would say, Paul, that the so-called Palestinian people, which is not an actual ethnic group, you understand, but they had been given an area, the Gaza, which is more than twice the size of Washington, D.C. You live just outside of Washington, D.C. in District Heights. And the Gaza, more than twice the size of Washington, D.C., about 2 million people. They had an election. They elected a terrorist group called Hamas. Would you say that Hamas is a terrorist group, a radical Islamic terrorist group?
No. I would say they're one of the resistance groups. The Palestinian people are very diverse. They're just like the American people. You have all different philosophies, from, radical Muslim to secular to Christian, but whatever you to atheist. But they have a right. They have a right to resist occupation, just like we had a right to resist the British, attempts to infringe on our rights over here back in
Paul,
the
you probably know.
1700s.
If you listen to my radio show, you know that I would describe myself as a Zionist, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
That's your privilege. That's your privilege.
Well, thank you. Very generous. And I believe that Israel has a right to exist, that they have right, the Jews have a right to a homeland, and that homeland is obviously Israel, and goes back to Solomon, and the Temple of Solomon goes back thousands of years, quite literally, and fleeing bondage in Egypt, and the Old Testament and biblical times. You say you're a Catholic, so you understand the Old Testament and Moses and the Red Sea and the homeland for Jewish people, and then the Europeans, of course, from the Inquisition and the Holocaust with the Socialist Workers' Party of the Germans in the 1930s and 1940s, led the world in the horror in the aftermath of World War II, to say, well, maybe if we gave the Jews their historic homeland, and by the way, in the Israeli government, you know that there are Arabs serving in the Israeli government, in the Knesset. their Congress, and their Muslims serving in senior posts, and the Netanyahu government and beyond. And that surrounding Israel, there is not a single Arab nation that has a single Jew or Christian serving in any position of responsibility in their governments. So the real diversity, you use the word diversity, that's I think, kind of a stupid word that's misused all the time, but usually by lefties. But the Israeli government is the most diverse, if you like that word, in that region of the world by a long shot, the most open, the most inviting to people that are not Jews. The Jewish community, another stupid word that the left always abuses, is more diverse than certainly the jihadis of Hamas. You say it's a right to resist. They were given, again, the Gaza more than twice the size of Washington, D.C. They had an election. They were given free elections. They elected a genocidal death cult called Hamas. And I got to ask, Paul, they just attacked on October 7th. They raped and murdered.
That's not true at all. That's been debunked.
Which part?
That's a bunch of exaggerations.
Which part?
The Israelis have been raping Palestinian prisoners, and people like you just ignore it.
Now,
I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
You're not a dumb man. You're an intelligent man. I've listened to you quite a bit. But you've got this warped view of so many things. I just don't. I had to respond. That's all. I appreciate you letting me talk.
Well, wait.
I didn't think you would.
Oh, of course, we do free speech here. We're not NPR. We're not funded by the taxpayer. We're not a propaganda network for one side or the other. We're open to because we're Americans. We're the real Americans. The left, they're commie pig dogs. They would kill everybody and steal what you left behind, because they're basically the Soviet Union in the 21st century, and they're not on our side. And you got the red-green coalition between the commies on the left and the jihadis, the green and the red coalition, and they kill everyone. But wait a minute, I want to get back to this. That's not true. That's been debunked. What's been debunked? The attack of October 7th?
All the alleged mass rapes by Hamas on October 7th. That's been debunked.
I missed that. I missed the debunking part of that.
Because all you listen to is the Zionist propaganda and talking points. The Israeli lobby is extremely powerful, and I'd like to see them. They have free speech rights like we all do, but I want to see them reduced in power drastically, because they lead us around by the nose.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that you're an anti-Semite?
No.
No, you're not an anti-Semite.
I'm an anti-Zionist.
Uh-huh. And so where do the Jews go when Israel is wiped out from the river to the sea?
Some of them can stay. The decent ones can stay. They'd have to work that out with the Palestinian people. But the lawless settlers on the West Bank, who have been burning Palestinian homes and tearing them down and destroying businesses and their cars, they should be expelled. I don't know. I'm ashamed to say some of them are from this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're a bunch of criminals, most of those radical Zionists on the West Bank.
Did you grow up in Maryland?
Yes.
Okay. Did you attend an Ivy League institution?
University of Maryland.
Okay. No, not an Ivy League institute. Michael Piercy went to the University of Maryland, too. That's it. It's better than an Ivy League institute. The Ivy Leagues, the Ivy League schools, they produce glassy-eyed zombie apocalypse psychopaths. Now, listen, Paul, I believe that you're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe, and your voice is allowed, certainly on the air here, if not welcome here. It's certainly allowed here, because we do free speech here. And I disagree with almost everything you said, but you notice I didn't shout you down and call you names and cut you off, because we do free speech here. That's what we do. We're America.
I do appreciate that much. I do appreciate that.
And you can say you're anti-Zionist but not anti-Semitic. Now, they're chanting college campuses while wearing Arab headdresses. Are you wearing an Arab headdress right now?
No, I have a keffiyeh, that I wear most of the time when I go out.
You wear the keffiyeh.
I don't wear it over my head. I just wear it around my neck.
And most of the time when you go out, you wear the keffiyeh. It's a black and white Palestinian keffiyeh.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I've got one of those at home. I've got the red and white Saudi headdresses at home as well, and the fan belts and the tablecloths. I have the whole ensemble, multiple. I don't typically wear them. Sometimes I might attack my best girl at breakfast at the breakfast table wearing my Saudi headdress, and I bring in a sword, and I attack the breakfast table, especially if there's fruit to chop up, because it's fun that way. Paul, listen, and you want Mahmoud Khalil released, right?
Yes, absolutely. Right now. If we don't push back against this, one day there'll be the Democrats or even somebody to the left of them might be in power, and they'll come after you. You should be defending Mr. Khalil right now, today.
Because it's free speech. Now, I believe that he lied on his application for a student visa when asked about his support for terrorist organizations. So, and I believe that he lied on his application for a green card, which he also got in the United States under, by the way, the Biden administration. He came in but in 2022, I believe that's what I read in the New York Times or someplace. I believe that when you lie about your affiliation with genocidal terrorist groups on your application for a student visa to go to another Ivy League institution where Barack Hussein Obama went, and he was raised by, in large part, his communist benefactor, Frank Marshall Davis. And now you wouldn't consider yourself to be a communist, Paul, would you?
I'm not a member of the party. I don't mind. I'll listen to some of what they say. I'll read some of their stuff. But no, I'm not a member of the party. I believe in God,
And they would killed God.
That's why I support the Palestinian people's right, because all people have human dignity.
Well, yeah, but when they now you believe they kidnap people and have them held hostage in tunnels under the Gaza, right?
They saved their lives from Israeli bombardment.
They saved their lives.
A lot of some of the freed Israeli hostages have thanked Hamas for taking care of them, even shielding them from their, even shielding some of them with their own bodies from Israeli genocidal bombardment.
I was unaware of that. They're very generous, caring, giving people, these kidnapping, raping, torturing, murdering, genocidal maniacs of Hamas. I think you're a little more generous with them than I would be, and that's understatement. But Paul, listen, I'm glad that you called in because you speak for a lot of people. We call them Democrats. Your Catholic pro-life thing steering you to not vote for Kamala Harris, and did you vote for Joe Biden and for Barack Obama and for Hillary Clinton?
No, the very first time I did vote for Obama, I wasn't even thinking about abortion. I thought we needed a change from the Bush thing, but I haven't voted for the recent Democrats because they all support abortion, and I don't want to be in that position.
Interesting.
As a Catholic.
Yeah, I think that there are some dichotomies on display here, but. But I'm more of a traditionalist
I'm
than
not
you.
Dogmatic. I have an open mind.
Well, you're aware because you listen to my show that sometimes you can be so open-minded that your brain falls out. Right? All right, Paul. I hope you get better. And Khalil needs to be catapulted into maybe the Dead Sea. Maybe we could drop him out of an airplane over the Dead Sea, and he could splash down there. Now, water's pretty hard because of the high level of salt in there. Makes the water more dense in the Dead Sea in Israel, where I have swum before. Yeah, and Aaron Bushnell, he self-immolated and killed himself at the Israeli embassy. Another woman self-immolated at the Israeli consulate in Atlanta, And then we had one self-immolate outside the Trump trial in New York. And we had one self-immolated in an Elon Musk vehicle at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas recently. They're all committing suicide. They're all acts of political suicide there. We need to get them all together maybe on the mall and have a big Jonestown thing. You can wear your keffiyeh. Okay, well, Paul was a fun caller. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Bob, calling from North Carolina. Oh, Bob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris.
Hey, Bob.
And I love your show. I listen to it every day.
That's good.
And it's fantastic. I have to say that. I don't know who that idiot was who is anti-Israel. I'm an IT guy, and I have lived in Saudi Arabia. I've lived in Gaza, and not because I really wanted to, but my job put me there. Right?
Sure.
It's amazing to me that the people that invented mathematics are so ignorant. And that guy that called, it just threw me into a loop. He doesn't know what the hell he's saying. And I'm trying to be nice on the radio.
Sure.
I mean, you remember the whole Y2K thing that...
I do. It was hilarious.
You know,
yeah, I was at the Pentagon that night, for Y2K. Yeah.
And the only thing they had to do was change such things that are so obvious.
Well, the obvious eludes a lot of people. Now, you lived in Gaza. I spent several months in Saudi Arabia, mostly in the eastern province in Dhahran, 1990, after the great Islamic leader Saddam Hussein invaded the 19th province. And you're right, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon and inventing mathematics and giving us the zero as a concept and all that wonderful stuff. The great history of the Arab people and the Arab world, and even more so the Persian world, much greater, and boy, look at the world today.